Good morning. Welcome to the Kingsport News Hour for the 10th day in the 11th month, the 16th year of Cheongi by the heavenly calendar. Tim Miller sitting in for the second king of Cheongi, Gyeonggi-moon. Let's go to our places around the kingdom and see what's going on there. 44 degrees right now in Chongpyeong, Tennessee, and it is raining. It is raining, and it looks like it's going to continue raining for a while. But the official forecast says today a shower in places this morning. Otherwise windy and cooler with considerable cloudiness, high of 43. It's interesting because it's already 44, so I guess the temperature is just going to keep falling from here on, it kind of looks like. And then tonight, breezy in the evening, otherwise mostly cloudy, low of 23. Father's hometown, Cheongju, North Korea, currently clear 19 degrees Fahrenheit. And then tonight, getting down to 5 degrees above zero, clear and much colder. Tomorrow cold with plenty of sunshine, high of 25. I'm realizing that we need to have a grateful heart towards the people who are holding down the fort, so to speak, at Cheongju until the second king and third king can get there and can liberate Cheongju, father's hometown. And winter, I think, is a pretty tough time for them there, and I hope that they are able to find a way to survive, frankly. 5 degrees tonight. Tomorrow, colder with plenty of sunshine, high of 25. And then at the Cheongung Palace in Northeast Pennsylvania, 32 degrees and freezing rain right now. Periods of rain, fog this morning, then becoming breezy. Melting snow can contribute to ponding. Yes, I think we know that. High of 48 today. Tonight, partly cloudy and windy with a snow shower, low of 25. At the Liberty Rock RV Park and Campground in Limestone County, Texas, 37 degrees and mostly cloudy. Well, okay. A high of 48, cloudy, windy, and much colder. Tonight, breezy this evening, otherwise partly cloudy, low of 32. At the Suncheon Palace in Korea, partly cloudy and 42. Increasing clouds tonight, low of 31. Tomorrow, 46 for a high, partly to mostly sunny. At the Gunma Palaces in Japan, also 42 and clear to partly cloudy tonight, 34 for a low, tomorrow high of 59. Guangzhou, Guangdong province in China, 70 degrees and clear, and a low of 58 under continued clear skies tonight, and then tomorrow hazy sunshine, high of 77. All right, let's go to Father's Word. Let's see where we are today. We are in the Root of the Universe, chapter 3. Chapter 3 and chapter 3.3 point, well, I could either go 2 or 3. Well, let's go to 2. So chapter 3, 3.2, the final paragraph in 3.2, before we go to 3.3. So how much does Sunsenyi mean? And Father always, well, not always, but often referred to himself in the third person as a Sunsenyi, or teacher, I guess, is the best way to translate that. But but the word Sunsenyi is used more generically than just teacher. It's a person who has some respect, but maybe not any particular title. So you call him Sunsenyi. So, for example, if you are talking with someone in Korean and you want to use, the second person pronoun you, then you might say, 선생님, so something like that. Generally, well, Korea is a Confucian society, and I would say that generally, meaning 99% of the time, 선생님 would refer to a man. Okay, I'm sorry, that's the way it is. All right. 선생님이 세계를 위해서 얼마나 많이 투입했습니까? So how much have I invested for the sake of the world? 피눈물을 얼마나 쏟았고 땀을 얼마나 흘리고 얼마나 한숨을 쉬었겠습니까? How many tears of blood have I shed how much sweat have I shed, and how often have I sighed, kind of a sigh. 내가 밥을 위해서, 출세를 위해서 그런 것이 아닙니다. I did not do this in order to eat. 밥을 위해서. Pop, of course, is rice or meal, more generically, food in general. So I did not do this for food. I did not do this just to support myself, I think is probably the proper way to translate this. I did not do this to support my livelihood. 출세를 위해서 그런 것이 아닙니다. Or nor did I do this in order to 출세, of course, means to get ahead in society. No. 출세를 위해서 한 그런 것이 아니라. So I did not do this in order to get ahead in society. 지상세계, 전상세계 하나님을 해방하기 위해서입니다. I did it to liberate the earthly world, the heavenly world, and God. 이런 사람은 역사 시대에 문 총재 외에는 없습니다. So no one other than 문 총재. That's another way that Father would sometimes refer to himself in the third person. Mun, of course, his father's surname. 총재, president, I suppose. That's the way it's usually translated. There are many words for president, and this is one of them. So 이런 사람은 역사적 문 총재 외에는 없어요. No one other than President Moon, or me, in other words, in history, in the historical era, or in history, no one other than me has done this. 참품 외에는 없는 것입니다. No one other than the true parent has done this. And here, true parent is clearly singular. No one other than the true parent has done this. 그런 배후의 역사를 지니고 있는 것입니다. So I have that history as my background. 그런 관념만이 아닙니다. 그것이 관념만이 아닙니다. And this is not just concept, not just conceptual. Okay. 실전 무대에서. So in the kind of a mixture of metaphors here, but well, if you're in Messiah, you could do that. 실전 무대 would be on the stage of the actual battle. Stage of the actual battle. Of course, battles are generally not fought on the stage, but anyway. we'll give a pass. 실전 무대에서 실체권을 형성하는 데 있어서 그 이상 기반을 닦아 나왔기 때문에 세계 만국이 숙연하게 머리를 숙일 수 있는 단계까지 왔다는 것입니다. So it's a bit of a longer sentence there. So on the stage of the actual battle, and in forming the 실체권, in forming the realm of the substantial realm, and he's talking about, I've done these things in reality, and I've had a substantial effect on the world, and I've built a substantial foundational realm. And now the countries of the world, I've come to the stage where the countries of the world are bowing their heads to me in humility. Okay. December 27th, 1990. Praise God. Yes. Yesterday, I attended church at the Seoul headquarters church, and Mr. Kim Byung-gyu gave the sermon. This is the sanctuary headquarters church in Korea. And Mr. Kim was talking in his sermon. He was talking about a book that was published by a North Korean refugee, or what South Koreans refer to as escapee. They've escaped from North Korea somehow, and come to South Korea. And this North Korean escapee wrote a book. And he wrote a book about father. Or I'm not sure if the whole book is about father, but anyway, father is mentioned extensively in the book in a very positive way. And in that book, he referred to father as Mun Chongje. And I think the word father sort of took on that title when he went to North Korea. When was that? 1991, I guess it was, wasn't it? Or so, I guess. 1991. Because he could not go there as a religious leader, so he sort of took on that more secular title there. So anyway, he referred to Father's Moon Chongje in this book, and the man thought it would be, he's not a sanctuary or not a family federation member or anything like that. He's just a person who has a deep respect for what Father has done for for Korea. And so he took the book, he took the manuscript to the Family Federation and showed it to them and asked for their opinion. It's sort of a courteous thing to do. And it took them a while to get back to him. But when they did, they said to him, please don't refer to, or please don't use the word Chongje or president, right? Like Father just did in the Cheonsonggyal that I read. Please don't use the word Chongje. Because the only person who can be referred to by that title is Hak Jahan. This is what they told him. And he later came to Sanctuary, by the way, after this experience for obvious reasons. And he said he was flabbergasted. He was flabbergasted. Uh, and it was, this is um, the idea that these people who he thought were followers of Reverend Moon would not allow him or would ask him not to use the title Chongje for Father was something that he just could not get his mind around that, because in any kind of Asian uh, context, that just doesn't happen. And then his widow uh, is the only one who can use that title. We can only use that title Chongje for Hakjan. It's for a secular person, this is a clear and obvious and unimaginable betrayal by people who claim to be followers of Reverend Moon. So anyway, Mr. Kim met this person directly. He came to Mr. Kim, and because Mr. Kim is a vice president of the Sanctuary Church in Korea, and the president, Mr. Sang-Yor Lee, is unavailable. He's in Taiwan. He's in Taiwan. Anyway, so and I guess he also went to the Preston group, but also or the Kwok group, and also he did not have such a very positive experience there either. But this sort of highlighted the fact that really Sanctuary is the only faith community right now that is holding Father in a position of respect, and the only faith community that is continuing Father's work. People in Family Federation have begun to realize in the last several days maybe suffering from something called the Stockholm Syndrome. And the Stockholm Syndrome, in my understanding, has its origin in a kidnapping situation in Sweden, in Stockholm, where someone was kidnapped and then, you know, held for an extended period, and then, but then over the days and weeks and months, as the prisoner or the person who's been kidnapped is with the kidnappers, the person, the victim, begins to first of all sort of sympathize with the kidnappers, and then eventually actually side with the kidnappers, and even after coming out of the kidnapping, want to sort of defend the kidnappers and say, "Oh, you know, they're not such bad people." So it's this situation where a victim is actually defending the oppressor, I guess you can say, or the oppressor or the perpetrator. And I think that describes the sort of situation of Family Federation members right now. Family Federation members, especially those in Japan, but also those in other countries as well, are being oppressed, and especially in Japan because they are still expected to fulfill these huge and unreasonable donation goals, right? Recently, the Family Federation president was replaced in Japan with someone new, and the word that we're getting now is that the background of this change in personnel was that the outgoing Family Federation president had promised to use the uh, funds of liquidated assets to compensate people who claim that they were victimized by Family Federation donation and Unification Church donation practices in the past. Whereas the word from above, so to speak, was that no, 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 we need that money in Korea because we've got something like 14 people who are being called in by the special prosecutor. And by the way, now the Family Federation or the Tongilgyo, the Unification Church, has its own special prosecutor. There is a special prosecutor whose job it is now to investigate the Family Federation. Amazing things are happening. Anyway, uh, uh, so the former or the outgoing president said, "Well, I made this promise that I was going to use the money to compensate these people," and so he was basically fired. And so, okay, well then you're no longer president, and we'll put someone in who will do what we want, who will somehow get that money over to Korea, where we can use it for the defense of Hak Jahan and the others. So there's clearly, you know, oppression going on, abuse going on, abuse of Family Federation members in Japan, and of U.S. too, because uh, in my opinion, anyone who joined Family Federation after September 3rd, 2012, is a victim of theological fraud. Victim of theological fraud, right? I don't know how many people have actually joined since then, but anyone who has is, you know, and anyone who was in the Family Federation before that ought to know better. Come on, you got to be kidding me. I ought to know better. Of course, in Korea, I doubt very much that people are joining the Family Federation because, you know, in Korea now, the Tongilgyo, or what they call the Unification Church, although it's not the Unification Church, all right, Family Federation is not the people, the Han group in Kapyeong or Chongpyeong up there in the mountains. They're not the Unification Church, but that's how the media is referring to them, and not much we can do about that right now. I hope that I can have an opportunity to speak publicly about that at some point. I mean, to the Korean media, but right now they're not or haven't yet had that opportunity. But anyway, Unification Church is in the media every day, every day, every day. Even on Christmas Day, the special prosecutor, the Unification Church special prosecutor was hard at work. And now, for example, what is her name? Wonju McDevitt. Now, her status has been up or changed. Previously, she was considered a kind of a 참고인 or a witness, I guess, witness or sort of a person who could offer information. But now uh, her status has been officially changed to that of a suspect, and so that means that the special prosecutor believes that they are able to build a case against her and take her to court. So and charge her with certain crimes. So she's now a suspect. And the former what is it, world mission director, and I really resent that because I'm the world mission director. Okay? But the fake, the pretend world mission director Yun Yong Ho has now been officially arrested, and he's now in custody. So things are moving along, moving along, moving along, and they're going to continue to move along probably for a while. Right? And of course, Hak Jahan is still in custody. With her application for bail was rejected earlier this month, and so it looks like she's going to remain in custody for probably or perhaps for the duration of her trial. And then if she's sentenced, then most likely she will receive an actual what do you call it? Not a suspended sentence, but an actual jail time sentence. And so it looks like she's going to be in jail for quite a while. So anyway, um, my point was I sort of got off track there, but anyway, that the Family Federation is saying, and this person that this author talked to was a person who is in a I know his name. I won't reveal it here, but I know his name. The person in the highly placed official in the Family Federation. Let's put it that way, in the Korean structure, in the Korean hierarchy there. And uh, he came back to the author after 2 weeks, and so clearly he consulted other people in the hierarchy, and the result was that only Hak Jahan can be referred to as president, and father cannot be referred to as president. So they have stripped him of that title. Ah, boy, I tell you. Ah, boy, I tell you. You got to wonder that. I mean, do these people believe in spirit world? But you see, this is why I say it's Stockholm syndrome, because they're being set up for some very difficult experiences in spirit world. But they are defending the person who is setting them up, right? Wonju, I don't know. I used to know her. I used to know her, and she wasn't like this. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what came over her. It's really sad, really sad, really sad. But anyway, these folks are um, going to have a reality check in spirit world once they get there. So we will see how things work out. But eventually the truth will win out, of course, and we'll see what happens. But also externally, a lot of things are changing. So and things are getting very, very interesting. So let's go to what's happening externally. Trump and Zelensky met, and we can talk about that. But but let's talk about China instead. Um, where shall we start? Okay, let's start with this one. Let's see, where am I here? So China had some. They've already finished, I think. They had a military drill uh, where they were, again, as they've done before, practicing how to blockade Taiwan and cut Taiwan off from from the United States and Japan and from anyone else who wants to help them in a time of war. And this was, it's just a war game, just a practice, they say. But they did it, of course, at a time right after the United States announced that the Trump administration announced that they were going to send $10 billion worth of military equipment to Taiwan. And China launched the live fire drills on Monday to simulate a blockade of Taiwan, days after the U.S. announced its large ever arms sale to the island nation. Beijing, which claims Taiwan as its own, deployed troops, warships, fighter jets, and artillery for its Justice Mission 2025 drills. Right. It also issued a stern warning against separatist and external interference forces. Taipei condemned the drills and responded by deploying soldiers and U.S.-made hardware to rehearse repelling an attack. So you have China practicing an attack, Taiwan using that practice on China's side to do their own practice of how to repel the attack. China has long called for a peaceful reunification with the island, but has refused to rule out using military action to seize it. Okay. Drills were carried out after the Trump administration approved an £8 billion, so that was bad. And I think we've seen that there's $10 billion a weapons package, and weeks after Japan said it might intervene in the event of a Chinese attack on Taiwan. Lin Jian, a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman, said any attempts to stop Beijing's unification with Taipei would fail. Taiwan has said it had detected 4 Chinese Coast Guard ships sailing off its northern and eastern coast early on Monday and had deployed vessels and forces in response. It later said it identified 89 Chinese military aircraft, as well as 28 warships and Coast Guard vessels. So this was a pretty large-scale operation by the Chinese side. Beijing's Eastern Theater Command said it concentrated forces to the north and southwest of the Taiwan Strait, carrying out live firing and simulating strikes on land and maritime targets. Simulation so far, but who knows when that will turn into an actual thing. Authorities added that further live fire drills would be conducted from 8 a.m. To 6 p.m. local time on Tuesday in 5 zones. Okay, so that's 8 a.m. would be in about 10 and a half hours. Okay? Or actually, no, this right now, it is, it's actually 9:30, 8:30. It's right now, it's 8:30 Taiwan time. So about 11 and a half hours. A senior Colonel Shi Yi of the People's Liberation Army's Eastern Theater Command said the drills would focus on sea-air combat readiness patrol, joint seizure of comprehensive superiority, blockade on key ports and areas, as well as all-dimensional deterrence outside the island chain. He described the strikes as a stern warning against Taiwan independence, separatist forces, and a legitimate and necessary action to safeguard China's sovereignty and national unity. Beijing's military released a poster of the drills showing arrows of justice raining down on what appeared to be green worms on a geographical outline of Taiwan, with one engulfed in flames. There you go. Okay, those are the green worms, I guess. Huh? So this is the poster put up by the Chinese. Okay, right. Okay. Looks like that missile overshot its mark. I don't know. Oh, I see. It's going for this ship here. I see. I get it. Okay. Taiwan's defense ministry responded by saying the drills further confirmed the Chinese Communist Party's nature as an aggressor, making it the greatest destroyer of peace. Karen Kuo, a spokesman for Taiwan's presidential office, also condemned China's disregard for international norms and the use of military intimidation to threaten neighboring countries. Analysts have said the drills increasingly blur the line between routine military training and potential stage setting for an attack, a strategy intended to give the U.S. and its allies minimal warning of an assault. Because, you never know. They say, okay, we're going to do some drills, but then it turns out they're using live fire ammunition that's actually pointed at Taiwan, not sort of the ocean there. Okay. The Chinese military last held large-scale drills involving live fire around Taiwan, which has been governed last held in April, I see. So back in April, it also had these live fire drills. In December, China promised to take resolute and forceful measures to safeguard its territory after Taiwan said the U.S. had approved an 11 billion arms sale. Beijing issued fresh sanctions on 20 American defense companies. Sanae Takaichi, Japan's prime minister, also triggered a backlash from Beijing last month when she said the use of force against Taiwan could warrant a military response from Tokyo. Did she say that? She said, as I remember, she said that this would be a survival situation for Japan. Uh, that's what I remember. What did Takaichi say about Taiwan? Let's look and see what she actually said. Number 9th. As as time goes on, people tend to sort of change these things. Let's go here. What did she actually say? Takaichi told Diet members last week, this is November 15th, so last week would be about anyway, a week before November 15th, that a military emergency over Taiwan could be regarded as a situation that would threaten Japan's survival. Okay, so she did not actually say that there would be a military response, although you could infer that, but I think it's important to stick to what she actually said. Yeah, this is how I remember it as well. Could be regarded as a situation that would threaten Japan's survival. Okay, so we need to be careful on that. So China demanded that she retract the statement, summoned Tokyo's ambassador, and warned us. Okay, well, so we know all about that. Okay, thank you. All right. So meanwhile, also in China, as long as we're talking about China, Pentagon reports sparks World War III fears after revealing China is readying intercontinental missiles. Yes. Oh, let me get this up for you. Yep. Okay. A brand new report from the Pentagon, okay, well, brand new, that's good, has revealed that China has armed over 100 long-range nuclear missiles, which could reach the U.S. in an all-out war. Well, the U.S. has a whole lot more than 100 that would reach China in an all-out war. So, frankly, 100 is not a whole lot. Okay. The December 3rd report to Congress found China's military has placed more than 100 DF-31 missiles, which are powerful intercontinental ballistic missiles, into underground launch sites called silos. 100, I mean, come on. The United States has these nuclear capable and probably nuclear armed missiles on submarines, as well as on aircraft, for aircraft delivery, and also, you know, plenty of them in silos as well. So this is not really World War III type stuff, and of course, China is also aware of that. That 100 is not a lot. These missiles use solid fuel, meaning that they're ready to launch quickly without needing extra preparation, unlike older liquid-fueled ones that take longer to set up. The U.S. Department of War identified fields of missile silos in 3 remote areas in northern and western China And together, these fields have around 320 silos, but U.S. officials believe only over 100 are loaded so far, allowing China to potentially shuffle missiles around to confuse enemies in a tactic like a shell game. The DF-31 missiles can fly up to about 6,800 miles, far enough to hit most of the U.S. from their launch sites in China. China tested one of these missiles in 2024 by launching it into the Pacific Ocean, showing it could travel long distances and land near places like French Polynesia. China's historic military buildup has made the U.S. homeland increasingly vulnerable. China maintains a large and growing arsenal of nuclear, maritime, conventional, long-range strike, cyber, and space capabilities able to directly threaten America's security, the new report said. Okay, let's check here. How many nuclear missiles does the U.S. have? Okay, 3,748. So that's okay. So 100. Come on, you're not even in the game. Uh, so 1,770 of these are deployed on various platforms, including submarines, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and bombers. The total inventory, including non-deployed warheads, is around 5,550. So I think, right. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, all right. But anyway, the point is that so this is part of their plan to have over 1,000 nuclear warheads by 2030. Well, even 1,000, all right, even 1,000. What was the U.S. number again? Um, 3,000. All right. So even 1,000. I don't know if that really moves the needle. Okay. According to the Department of War, China's big picture goal is to become a global superpower by 2049 with a world-class military that can protect its interests and rejuvenate the nation, including taking control of places like Taiwan that it claims. Okay. And, all right. Pentagon officials also noted that China believes there is a bipartisan agreement in the U.S. Congress to contain their rise, with the Chinese growing more and more frustrated with America's alliances throughout Asia, specifically with Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. Despite growing tensions that have led to nuclear weapons being armed, a senior official from the Department of War told the Daily Mail that the White House and Pentagon are working to de-escalate the situation. President Trump seeks a stable peace, fair trade, and respectful relations with China. The Department of War will support the president's intent by opening a wider range of military-to-military communications with the People's Liberation Army and seeking other ways to make clear our peaceful intentions, the senior official said in a statement. So these are all the silos, apparently. Okay. Right? Missile bases. Okay. And a 2024 report by the Federation of American Scientists, a nonprofit global policy think tank, revealed that there were 12,121 nuclear warheads scattered across 9 nations. That included the US, Russia, China, France, India, Israel, North Korea, Pakistan, and the UK. Russia still outnumbered the US by several hundred warheads. However, the two nations controlled roughly 88% of this global stockpile, with Russia reportedly holding 5,580 and the US possessing 5,044. That was a little bit different from what we saw a while ago, right? What stockpile was that? Okay. All right. Well, anyway. China has been among the group of 5 countries, including Pakistan, India, Israel, and North Korea, that have been quietly increasing their nuclear stockpiles over the past 40 years. The new report by the Pentagon put China's current count of nuclear warheads in the low 600s. meaning the growing military power in Asia is expected to increase that number by roughly 100 per year this decade. The Department of War declined to comment further regarding their level of concern over China's nuclear weapons program. So, so let's interpret this, translate this sentence here. The Department of War declined to comment further regarding their level of concern. So here the reporter is asking the Pentagon, are you guys really worried about this? And the Pentagon is not saying yes or no. If they say no, maybe that just sort of, I don't know. Why can't they just say no, right? Yeah, 100 plus or minus, who cares? It's probably their actual reaction to this, but they don't want to say that. Okay. Is China threatening the West with these? It's stunning. These headline writers, they have to get clicks. Stunning nuclear buildup that may soon rival the U.S. and Russia. May, right? I keep telling you about the word may, right? It's one of the words that they use to put fear in people's hearts. May. It may rain tomorrow. We may have an asteroid slamming into Earth tomorrow. May. Uh, and if it turns out not to be true, it goes, well, I mean, it could have happened. So, may is a favorite word of headline writers because it helps to put fear in people's hearts. Yeah. It may, yes. All right, let's see. All right, so much for that. Okay, but we still have another China story. And this one has to do with economics, actually. And this is about silver. Recently, the price of silver, let me show you the graph, has been going crazy. And if you're one of these people that's been stacking silver, this has been a really great few days, right? So this is a 5-year chart, okay, 5-year chart, and each one of these is a weekly bar, okay, so it shows the price change over a week. And it was going along quite nicely there, right? Here, 19, here, this line here is 30, I'm sorry, this is $30 here. So it was, fluctuating between, let's say, around 19-ish and $30 for a long time, many years. And then it got above $30. Okay, all right, above $30, okay. And then let me get rid of this thing here. It's in my way. Okay. And then around here, June, August, things start going crazy, right? We get to $40, $50 in November. Then suddenly, beginning of December, $80 or $60. All right. And then then last week, $70. And then, well, today it was up as far as, let me change to a yearly. Got above $80, and I guess it right about here, or close to, no, actually, I think it did go above $80. This may not be the newest. It actually did go above, wait, am I? Yeah, I am, okay. Above $80. And in that, now it's pulling back a little bit, but we'll have to wait and see. But this is a problem because, anyway, and Elon Musk is saying this is not good. He tweeted this out. Silver prices soar as China's new export rules take effect. Elon Musk says this is not good. So China now is hoarding silver. They were hoarding the rare earth metals before, remember? And now this time it's silver. Okay. Elon Musk has voiced his concerns over China's impending restrictions on silver exports, highlighting the potential impact on various industrial processes. Because silver has become a very important industrial metal. Because for Teslas, not only for Teslas, but for even for missiles and for any kind of high-end electronics, there has to be silver. And the reason is silver has a very high conductivity. In other words, electricity can pass through it more easily than it can on almost any other metal. And not only that, it's stable. In other words, copper, for example, you could, and of course, for electricity, most of our electricity wires are copper. So why not use copper? Well, because copper corrodes over time, and you don't want to use it in an expensive thing that you want to use for a while. And also, it's just not copper is not nearly as efficient as silver. And we don't have silver wires in our homes, of course, because well, it's expensive. Even at $20, $30 an ounce, that would be much too expensive for us to convert all of our wiring in our homes to silver. But for uh, for solar panels, for a whole bunch of other things, for satellites, for a whole bunch of other things, silver is absolutely essential. And so here, but now silver price has gone up by multiple folds, right, over the past several months. On Saturday, that's day before yesterday, Musk reacted to a post on X by Jesse Pelton, who had shared a post from Bull Theory. The original post announced that China is set to impose restrictions on silver exports starting January 1. That's this coming Thursday. Yeah, this coming Thursday. 2026, requiring companies to obtain government licenses for the same. Yeah. Pelton had commented that his development is a bigger deal than it may seem. Because now China says, hey, we need silver. So we're not going to let anybody else have it. When we mine silver, when we dig it out of the ground, um, we're going to keep it for ourselves. Musk responded by saying, this is not good. Silver is needed in many industrial processes. Silver plays a crucial role in various industries, including electronics, medicine, and renewable energy. Its high electrical and thermal conductivity, along with its chemical stability, make it an indispensable resource. And indispensable, in other words, it cannot be substituted by anything else. Anything else is going to be not as good. China's decision to restrict silver exports could potentially disrupt global supply chains, leading to a surge in silver prices due to a possible global supply shortage. This could in turn impact the cost of production in many industries, thereby affecting the global economy. Musk's tweet underscores the gravity of the situation, drawing attention to the potential consequences of China's new restrictions on silver. All right, so that is what is going on with that. So we'll have to see. So things, and even household appliances these days, and cars, right? Cars have computers in them, and cars are basically now computers on wheels. Even something like a refrigerator or air conditioner, or any kind of modern electronic device is going to have silver in it. It's quite widely used now. And as the article said, even in medical devices, for example, because medical devices, of course, have computers in them and everything. So it is a problem now that China is doing this and trying and basically hoarding silver for its own use. And of course, they're not the only ones who mine and produce silver, but they are a significant part of the market. And when they sort of squeeze it, then prices are going to go sky high in the rest of the world. All right. So we will see how that we'll have to continue to follow that and see how it turns out. Okay. All right. Now I guess we can go to something else, namely, oh no. I know what I just did. Again, I clicked the wrong place. All right, let me get back. Let's see here. Fortunately, see, I go to history and I don't see it in history. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll have to find it another way. Okay. All right. Well, okay. Here we go. All right. Let's go to this one. Okay. Well, Financial Times has a rather pessimistic headline here about the Trump and Zelensky talks, it says here, failed to deliver breakthrough on Ukraine peace deal. Ukraine president says longer-term U.S. security guarantee would be needed to deter Russia. This was published 12 hours ago. Okay. Let me see if I can. Financial Times usually doesn't let us see their stuff, but maybe this one they're letting us see for at least for a while. Okay. Well, there. U.S. President Donald Trump said a breakthrough to end the war in Ukraine was getting a lot closer. So in other words, it didn't come. After meeting Zelensky in Florida, but his Ukrainian counterpart warned that longer-term security guarantees would be needed to deter Russia. Speaking at his Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach, Trump said he had an excellent discussion with Zelensky on Sunday that made a lot of progress towards ending Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But in a WhatsApp chat with reporters as he returned to Europe on Monday, Zelensky said a U.S. security guarantee currently under discussion would initially be valid for 15 years, and while this could potentially be extended, such a duration would be too short. I told Trump we would really like to consider the possibility of a 30, 40, 50-year guarantee, the Ukrainian president said, adding that Trump said he would think about it. Sunday's meeting, which came a day after a major missile and drone attack by Russia on Kyiv, was the culmination of intense diplomacy to halt the biggest land war in Europe in 8 decades. While Trump and Zelensky praised each other at a press conference after the discussion, they yielded little tangible progress. Okay, well, I'm not surprised. Zelensky said he and Trump discussed all aspects of a 20-point peace plan that they were 90% of the way towards reaching a deal. The Ukrainian president added that the military aspects of the proposals were 100% agreed, but he did not provide specific details. Both men subsequently spoke to European leaders, including UK Prime Minister Starmer, French President Macron, Italian President Meloni, Trump's added. European Commission President von der Leyen welcomed the good progress made during the talks, adding that paramount to this effort is to have ironclad security guarantees from day one. The U.S. President said that he had held a very good, productive telephone call lasting more than 2 hours with Putin prior to his meeting with Zelensky. Following the Ukraine-U.S. meeting, Trump lauded Putin, saying the Russian president wants to see Ukraine succeed. That's an interesting phrasing. Wants to see Ukraine succeed. That's Putin? Putin said that? I don't know. We need to check with Putin on that one. Trump cautioned that there were still thorny issues remaining. Well, yeah, I mean, the territory issue in reaching a peace agreement, saying the word agreed is too strong, but we are getting closer. He specifically cited disagreements over land. There you go. Yeah, okay. An allusion to the deep schism between Moscow and Kyiv over possible territorial concessions. Putin has stuck to his maximalist demands, including that the Ukraine unilaterally withdraw from the remaining part of the eastern Donbas region, still under Kyiv's control. Trump's original plan, drawn up with Russian help, called for that area to be recognized officially as Russian territory, something that Zelensky has described as a red line. Trump said on Sunday that the issues surrounding a possible demilitarized zone or economic zone, as Zelensky has referred to it in recent weeks, in Donbas region remained unresolved. So there's Trump over here and Zelensky over here. Zelensky has said he would agree to pull back troops to create an economic zone if Russia's forces did the same and the territory remained officially part of Ukraine and was monitored by an international peace force. It was a tough issue and said any territorial concessions would require a referendum in Ukraine. Of course, our society has to choose and it has to vote because it's their land, not the land of one person. It's the land of our nation, Zelensky said. Territorial issues, as I pointed out, even small rocks sticking out of the ocean are big problems in diplomacy. Asked what about specifically about what specifically the U.S. had offered Ukraine in the way of security guarantees. Trump said he wanted to work with Europe, which would take over a big part of it. Trump added that Putin was open to working with Kyiv on the contentious issue of who would control the Zaporizhia power station, Europe's biggest nuclear plant, under a peace deal. Russia's forces at present control the power plant in southeastern Ukraine. We discussed it. It is in good shape and can start up immediately. Putin is working with Ukraine to get it open. Trump said that's a big step when he's not bombing that plant. Okay. Zelensky told European leaders in a telephone call on Saturday that he did not expect Russia to drop its uncompromising demands. Zelensky told European leaders that he did not expect Russia to drop its uncompromising demands or agree to Ukraine's proposed plan, but wanted the U.S. to shift its focus to pressuring Russia, according to two people briefed on their call. Right, okay. So Zelensky is saying, how come we're the ones that are getting all the pressure from Trump, right? Why not start pressuring Putin? I think Trump recognizes that, that Putin doesn't have a whole lot of motivation to compromise. Well, they may have some, but Ukraine has a lot more. Zelensky has a lot more, and also the U.S.'s leverage is much stronger on Ukraine. Putin, yes, they've taken the economic sanctions and they weathered them, and and they're finding ways around them, and so really there isn't a whole lot of leverage that Trump can use on Russia beyond what's already been done. Russia has already indicated it will reject any amendments Ukraine proposes to Trump's earlier 28-point plan, which was drafted in the autumn with significant input from Moscow. Earlier on Sunday, Sergei Lavrov, Russia's foreign minister, claimed Kyiv was trying to evade constructive negotiations on a way to end the war. So basically, Russia is insisting on what is not a total surrender, but kind of comes close to that, doesn't it? Yeah. Anyway, so we'll continue to follow that. But President Trump really is getting closer and closer to the point where he has to make that tough decision that I've been talking about, and just say, hey, you know what, Zelensky, this is the best we can do. All right. I know it's a tough pill for you to swallow. It's a tough pill for the people of Ukraine to swallow, but America has other priorities, namely China, and we just have to leave the table. So you can stay here with the negotiations, and the people in Europe. Well, I'm sure they will do everything they can to help you, but we gotta go elsewhere. We got other things to do. Okay, that's the tough decision that President Trump is going to have to make, and that when is the question, but that's coming fairly soon, I think, fairly soon. New York Times points out for Zelensky, just keeping Trump talking about Ukraine peace deal counts as a win. That's an interesting point. That's their headline. That is a very interesting point. I think that's true. As long as Zelensky can keep Trump talking about Ukraine, it's a win for him. Okay, let's see. We got less than 60 seconds. Let's see here. This is Jonathan Turley. Okay. He has written an opinion piece on the Hill. We are the free world now. Europe declares war on free speech in the US. Mhm. Okay. All right, so that's about all that we can do today. Thank you for joining us today. And it's kind of a quiet week as we approach the New Year's, but please be safe. There are people who want to make this not a quiet week, who want to create chaos and want to bring about bloodshed. So please be careful, stay safe, stay away from large crowds. Uh, don't go to New York, Times Square. Don't go to the Rose Bowl, which is what, I guess, this coming Friday, right? Or any other, sport events or other events that are surrounding New Year's. Please, I recommend anyway. I recommend that you spend the solar New Year, the Gregorian New Year, in sort of a contemplative prayer, I guess. Okay. All right, gotta go. I'll see you tomorrow. It's still 2026, 2025 tomorrow. We still have 2 more days in 2025. God bless, Godspeed. May His kingdom come quickly.